Welcome to the first episode of the NFT-DAO podcast. I'm Philip Roberts. Now, before we jump into things, nothing said on this show should be taken as financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions. And with that said, let's begin. So, Tyler Wales and Michael Yagi join me today. So, gentlemen, how are you doing? Starting with Tyler.
I'm doing great, Philip. Great to be here, and I'm excited for this first kickoff podcast. Looking forward to it all day.
Yeah, me too. How about you, Michael?
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having us. Definitely going to be exciting to give a little bit more insight for people, wondering what the DAO is doing. So this should be exciting.
Oh, excellent. So starting with you, Tyler, do like a round robin. Can you tell us what your role is at NFT-DAO and just give a brief overview of your work history, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with Catalyst, right, with Cardano.
Yeah.
I first started participating in Catalyst around November and just kind of commenting. And then in January, I put in a proposal for something called Cinefund, which I ended up shelving after I saw Rich's proposal for the NFT collaboration. And I started leaving comments on that one. And then that was the spark, I guess, for what kicked off as NFT-DAO. My role here now is kind of more of in marketing, product not product development in the sense that I'm coding, but I do like speak with the other people within the DAO to figure out kind of what they're interested in with NFTs and how that's going to work with development, kind of the communication between what someone wants for a business use case and getting that information to Michael.
Oh, wow, fascinating. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, how about you, Michael? What do you do exactly at NFT-DAO?
Yeah, so I found the Rich's proposal that Tyler and Troy joined, and I just found it super interesting. So I joined the Discord, and then after hearing about what it is that they're doing, they were more than welcome to bring more people on. So that's how I initially got involved, and eventually started doing a little bit more and more, and kind of moved into more of a development lead role, which is kind of a little different from the traditional. So because it's a DAO, well, basically what that means is just facilitating discussions between development and product and, design of marketing, like more of a collaborative process rather than just like, oh, I'm in charge of everyone telling people what to do for development. It's very much not like that. It's more just, here's what the interests are, how many developers will this take? What do we need to do? What do we need to build in order to get that done, and having that kind of facilitating that discussion of more of the development side with Tyler and the marketing team and business needs and things like that.
Oh, that's really interesting. So what is your dev background like? Can you give us like a...
Oh, yeah. So for my work history, I'm a senior software engineer at a Fortune 500 company. So I do traditionally, when I do development, I work in C++. But I'd also do things like I'm very familiar with Agile process and all of that kind of thing. So this kind of role is very natural to me. Is that something of like clear communication and delivering on time with very loose needs, and like you're not really sure what you're building. That kind of thing is where I thrive, because I like facilitating the discussions, and I also have a really strong technical background as well. So it kind of worked out very well in that sense.
Oh, wow. Nice. Very interesting. All right. So what has your experience been like at NFT-DAO thus far, Tyler?
It's been a bit chaotic is how we describe it within the DAO, is where we're kind of, we want to encourage chaos, but we want to bring order to that chaos so we can actually kind of bring focus and focus that passion and energy into actual products and information that's going to help improve the Cardano ecosystem as a whole, and then help us actually build our product, which is the framework that will allow anyone to really build an NFT marketplace that meets their business use case.
Yes, of course. All right.
And yeah. I mean, my overall experience has just been amazing. I really just love the community. Everyone's passionate, and there's just tons of very bright people that are all willing to donate their time and participate within the DAO.
Yes, they are great people that joined us. So as a developer, what about you, Michael Yagi? How's it been?
Yeah, it's actually been not all what I expected, but in the best ways possible. So when I joined, it was kind of like, oh yeah, let me see what this is about. And then Tyler was super welcoming, Rich and Troy, and everybody's. And then I was kind of expecting to be like, oh yeah, let me know how I can help out. Like basically tell me what to do and I'll do what I can. And they're very much just super open. It was like, oh, no one's your boss. Not everyone's going to tell you what to do. Basically, like everyone's welcome to help out as much as they want. And I was like, well, this is very, very different. It's like,
It's chaotic.
Yeah. And then it's like, yeah, go and tinker and like go figure things out, and then like get other people that are interested. And everyone is kind of experts in their own way, and also trying to contribute to like a very similar vision. So it's very refreshing in that sense.
So I'm going to be a little bit nosy right now. So Michael, like, can you give us some insight on what's going on, like with the development thus far for NFT-DAO without giving away too much information?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So basically, everyone inside of the DAO was very excited about what the vision of like so many NFT project proposals, and everyone knew that the space is going to be booming. So rather than waiting to get funded and then like let's get funded and then see how we're going to build things, it's just like, yeah, let's just build it whether we get funded or not. So that's the kind of the approach and mindset we've been taking. So we've kind of had a hybrid approach of making sure everyone can still contribute, but then also still making sure that people are free to come in and leave, but then also you still need to get stuff done. So there needs to be some level of commitment, and trying to find that like providing an opportunity where everyone can kind of contribute how they will while still getting things done is a very hard process to do. So we've been figuring that process out, and I feel like it's coming along very well. And because of that process being streamlined a lot, we've actually been building quite a lot. So I'll let Tyler talk about what it is that what we're trying to striving toward the product end, but code is definitely getting worked on. We're also collaborating with other people outside of the DAO as well, which is what the DAO is all about. So there's another code proposal about metadata standards and working with the Flurry database people, which is super exciting because that's kind of spawned out of the DAO, but it's not really strictly tied to the DAO. So like we want to be a first use case and work with them on that.
Yeah.
So that kind of came out of it, and then also like working with Gimbal Labs, trying to figure out like how we can use and leverage all the stuff that they've been doing, and then show them like what we're building. And yeah, so it's super exciting, and it's fun because code's actually being written. So
yeah, a lot of stuff's happening behind the scenes. People really don't realize what's really happening. It's great. So yeah. I just have this one question for both of you. So why is metadata so important? Starting with you, Tyler, what do you think is so important?
For metadata? Well,
yes.
We need to have a system so that NFTs are going to be able to communicate with each other. Right.
Simple as that.
You have to have like agree on the structure, like how the NFTs are going to work, right? And that's not really my expertise on metadata.
I know it's not. But it's just good to hear from a non-technical person why metadata is important.
Yeah. So
like a lot of people want to know, like, what's the big deal with metadata? Like, what's the importance behind it?
Well,
yes.
It's really important that you get it right the first time.
Yes.
Because if you don't get it right the first time, you might mint a bunch of NFTs that you think might have value. But if your standards are way off that you're working with, and it evolves to different standards, and there's no path for your original NFTs to get there,
yeah,
then those NFTs are kind of just lost. Their value might just disappear.
Yeah, that is true.
I think Michael should probably expand.
Absolutely. Can you extrapolate on that, Michael?
Yeah. So I can expand on that. I think Tyler made a good point when he said it's important to get the metadata standard correct, because you want it to work not just with your use case, but with what other people are building. So that's the kind of the whole idea of a standard is, you might write something one way, but someone else might make some other NFT art tokens. They should be able to have some sense of like what their tokens are like, and maybe be able to go beyond just your industry. So like a standard that knows some semblance of what like the real estate is like, or music, or things like different creative realms, should share some base context. And the other thing that's important is like making it a way that's upgradable, or has some foresight into it, because you can never get it right exactly the first time, and you still need to put something out there with the right foresight, but also create a way where it's adaptable and it can be improved upon, and that there's a way to get there instead of just having to burn everything and saying like, okay, well, this is a new way. Everything you did before is no longer valid. So putting those processes in place, but still having the foresight to like make it where you're not going to have to come in and do these updates all the time. So that's kind of like my take on it.
Well, that's a good real take on it. So does the philosophy move fast and break things resonate with you, like at all? Does it?
Yeah, actually. So it's yes, it actually really does. So
Okay.
it's probably not what you were expecting, because really the Cardano philosophy is build it correctly, and that's super important. So but there's pros and cons to both takes. So when you're talking about core infrastructure, of course that has to be solid. You can't push things out, otherwise people building on top of it, if it changes out from underneath them or things start breaking, it's not going to work. That's why everyone appreciates the Cardano philosophy, just building it correctly. But when you're a consumer of those kinds of things, you have a little bit more luxury of testing and innovating quicker, because you have the core foundation that Cardano built so carefully for us that we know we can rely on those things, and we can kind of go and run and test certain use cases of it much quicker. So there's kind of a middle ground, give and take of that. Of some things can just go and try it and break it, see what works, what doesn't, in some testing environment, and then this is what goes in production, because we have the luxury of building on top of systems built so securely like Cardano. So.
All right. So for the audience, so essentially Mike is saying that it's good if you move slow and steady for like core infrastructure such as Cardano, because there are like the body, I should say, or the rails, a better example for the boxcar, rails for the boxcar to ride on. And the boxcar itself can move pretty fast because you can test things in and out pretty quickly, and you can make these adjustments. But if you're using protocol like, for instance, Cardano, and if it's not working properly, then it makes the boxcar not run properly, and other boxcars like it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I like to think of it kind of like you said, the rails might be Cardano. The boxcar needs to be really well thought out, and we can't make and break things super quickly like that. But maybe like some of the use cases, things like that, that might be more like some of the aesthetic things where things like that can be replaced a little easier. So there's definitely tiers of how fast you can move depending on how core it is to the infrastructure.
All right, I got you. I see where you're going.
All right. I think some of it depends on how adaptable what you're working on. That right? Because if you're like the core infrastructure, that's the core, and you kind of want something solid there, and it's going to take more time to fix it if something's wrong, right? So you want to spend more time getting that perfectly right. But something that's not mission critical financially, just like functionality wise, it's okay probably to test things and move quickly and break that. If it's just a user experience, for example, it's like, oh, this button shouldn't be here, or this feels a little clunky. But anything when you're dealing with actual money, Cardano, ADA, anything that's financial, I think a lot of forethought should be put into that. And we don't necessarily, we want to build it right the first time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. So Tyler, can you give us some events to look forward to with the DAO?
I can talk a little bit about our product and what we have coming up here.
All right, tell us about that.
And so we're working on a couple different things simultaneously right now that are kind of giving us information of what we want the boxcar to be. One of those products is actual art auction marketplace, and another one is a ticketing ticketing mechanism that allows people to buy tickets.
Yes.
So create tickets for events. We're doing those both at the same time. We also have a collectibles project we're working on as well.
All right. What about the collectibles though? Like, can you give us some dates for that, or any like an estimate on like what's to come? Like,
I think we need to be paying attention to their Twitter account as well as NFT-DAO's Twitter account, because we are going to be dropping some information on that very soon. I think we're going to, from what Michael tells me, we're going to be able to at least start minting some NFTs based off of what we've done coming next week. And then I think around maybe towards the ends of April, we're going to have some products going live.
Okay, so near the end of the month. Is that what people should be looking forward to?
Yeah, but I'm not going to give an exact date yet, because we have to pick the exact date that makes the most sense.
All right. All right. We'll be looking out for that. Absolutely. All right. So Michael, do you have anything to say about that in particular?
Yeah. Just adding a little bit, just a little bit more technical background to what Tyler was saying is,
Yes.
being able to mint something isn't really the hard part. It's given a use case and a kind of like a way to buy and sell like these kinds of things is a
Yes.
little bit hard to do right now with Cardano without smart contracts. So that is kind of like what the DAO has been focusing on, solving those issues. Right. So even though we can mint things now, we want to make sure that instead of just minting something, you can actually have a way to like showcase them and like trade them and things like that, and buy and sell. So those are the kind of things that we've been working really hard on.
Oh, absolutely. All right. That's really cool, guys.
And we want the user experience just to be better than anything, because I know like a lot of projects are just dropping NFTs out there, and
Yes, they are.
they're in Twitter and they're in Discord, they're everywhere, and they're all awesome. But we want to make sure that we have a really just like a seamless user experience and deliver something that the whole community can be proud of.
Exactly.
I think everyone can agree on that, especially with a lot of drama that's going on with the Ethereum network and things of that nature. We don't want to have any sort of flaws with our drop when it happens. All right, so gentlemen, starting with Michael Yagi, do you have any closing remarks for us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, the DAO's moving along really quickly, but we can always use a lot more help there. So especially on the development side, there's plenty of opportunity to come in and dip your toes. So Tyler can go over some ways to kind of get on board with that. But basically, ready and waiting for more developers.
More developers. We definitely need more of those. All right. How about you, Tyler? Any clues?
Yeah, if you yeah, definitely come check us out. Check out the DAO. Go to NFT-DAO.org, and there's a link to our Discord channel to come in. And all you have to do is just jump into the Discord, do an intro, and start interacting with the community. We're very welcoming and open. And you don't even necessarily have to work. You can just like start just hanging out and talk, asking questions. And there's been a handful of projects that have just kind of emerged out of the DAO. There was the Flurry project, which emerged, which is really interesting. And then I think there was another one called Empower that just came out, which is a real estate NFT play for Africa, real estate DeFi play, I believe. And that was really interesting too. And they're all kind of just organic experiences that happen just like through the Discord channel, making connections, and then conversations turned into companies and products, which is really cool in my opinion. And
how big is the Discord or the DAO now? Out of curiosity.
I think there's about 320 people in it total that have come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's growing quite fast. So that's impressive. All right. Well, thank you for your time, gentlemen. I really appreciate that. And I believe, yes. I believe this concludes the podcast, and thank you all for joining me. And all relevant links will be found in the description box below. And be sure to comment, share, and subscribe to this video. And until next time, build on, build strong, and build right. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.